I love permanent Sharpies. Am I gonna love these Sharpie brush pens? Hi everybody, today I'm taking a look at the Sharpie Pen Brush Pens. Now I'm saying Sharpie Pen Brush Pens because I've actually looked at these ones before. These are the Sharpie Permanent Brush Pens with a big wide tip, and I had some mixed responses to these. But these are the style of permanent marker like standard Sharpies. These are actually more like the Sharpie Art Pens or the Sharpie Pens, the ones that don't bleed through paper, that are planner safe. This is that same style of ink, but in a brush tip. I ordered these off of Amazon. They were fairly inexpensive. They were like 15, 16 bucks on Amazon. They come with 12 colors and a case that's made out of like some kind of plastic silicone situation. Not gonna lie, not a big fan of this case. Like the way it feels, it isn't. Let's look at the inside first. So it has this window. You open it up. There was a plastic thing that was in here, but I had already taken it out to like kind of be like an advertising looking situation. So you have this little page where you can hold the Sharpies, and then you close it and it's fairly full. Part of the issue I take with this pen case is that while it fits small pens like Pigma Microns, like my Tombow brush pens won't even fit in, like barely fit if I stick them in diagonally. And this page in the middle just takes up so much space. Like I'd rather it just not have this situation be slightly longer and be more useful to me. So the only reason I've kept the case this long since I bought these pens is because I wanted to show it when I did the review, but I'm probably going to pull the pens out of it and find some other use for this case, because to me, this case is not a bonus. It's not a perk. It's just sort of useless waste of material. I think it is kind of garbage, personally. My personal opinion. But let's look at the pens. So there's 12 colors here, and they look very similar to the Sharpie art pens that I've already talked about. These guys here, basically the same. They look exactly the same in terms of packaging, that matte, like it's not matte completely, but like that kind of soft. Outside says Sharpie pen, and then this says fine, and this says brush with the squiggly on it to help you tell the difference between the two kinds of pens, because otherwise they are identical. And side note, this case, again, I've kept it to keep these pens together, but like to me this is like a waste of packaging and materials. So for me it's 0 out of 2 from these Sharpie art pens and Sharpie pens for bonus case stuff. To me, they're useless. So looking at the pen itself, like I said, very similar to the Sharpie art pen setup. The cap has a pen clip, and then it comes off and it snaps in really satisfyingly. Snaps on, pulls off really satisfyingly. When you stick it on the end, it's on very securely. The pen is a little short for my taste, but because the lid goes on securely, it does kind of help lengthen it. Looking at the brush, it is much smaller than a Tombow dual brush marker tip. Same kind of like solid tip, just a lot smaller. It's a little bit more comparable in size to a Pigma Micron brush pen. But some of you who have seen those videos know that Pigma Micron brush pens are not my favorite, so I'm hoping that these pens do not enter into the same realm. So according to the website, the claims for this is colorful ink in bold, brilliant colors. Flexible brush tip creates thin lines and bold marks in one stroke. Writes bright and quick drying ink that's smear, fade, and water resistant. And then it talks about the case. So let's take a look at how this writes. This is a very, very flexible nib. I'm having a little bit of trouble controlling it with my heavy hand. I am notorious for having trouble controlling more flexible nibs, so that's like a way things work with me. I tend to like nibs that are a little firmer, and these are kind of the opposite of that. The color so far is bright. It kind of has that ombre thing going on where it's dark where you first press it down and then it lightens as you pull the pen down, kind of like a Crayola marker. As for the bleed resistant, writing on this like regular copy paper, this shit's bleeding right through. I double checked and I looked down. It does say that it won't bleed through paper. Well, I'm here to say that on regular printer paper, it absolutely is bleeding through. So we'll see what it does on higher quality paper. But before I do that, I want to check some of these claims here. So it does say that it is quick drying and smear proof, so let's give that a try. Oh, come on. Really? Like it's all over my finger. Okay, let's give it a second here. That purple just smeared and I had written that a few seconds ago. Look at that. The brown is smearing too. This is not smear proof. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm letting that sit there for a second. Let's just let it sit there for like a minute. I don't know how long. Maybe we'll dry it off. And it still smears. So I'm going to call bullshit on the smear and quick drying. That doesn't mean that if you let these dry for hella days, they won't smear. Like this first purple that I wrote with, that's not smearing. I wouldn't say it's quick drying though, at all. We just showed that this purple is dry. These pens also claim to be water resistant. So let's see what happens when I put water from my water brush on top of it. Well, that is water resistant. I wonder if the wetter ones. Okay. So if you let it dry completely, it will be water resistant, but you have to wait. I'm gonna take a few minutes and create a swatch page in my bullet journal for these, and then we will check and see how they bleed on better quality paper. But so far, I'm not impressed. Just gonna say. Let's look at the colors though, because colors are one of the things that I love Sharpie for, even though there are other things about the markers I can't stand. Colors of Sharpies make me so happy, so hopefully these will live up to that. I've noticed something with these pens already doing these swatches. These are incredibly juicy, like dropping large amounts of fluid onto the paper. So no wonder they smeared and no wonder they weren't water resistant. If these were drier, I think maybe there wouldn't be as much of a problem. I'm kind of afraid to look at the other side of this swatch sheet because I'm worried about how bad this is bled through and it's blank on the other side. And I was going to use this, so I might have to glue these pages together. Okay, not as bad as I thought, but most definite ghosting. And there are spots in each of these where the color is starting to bleed through, so I would not use these very often in my bullet journal. Looking at the colors themselves, for the most part, I really like the colors. I think they're really like bright and kind of dark almost. I feel like the clover here is really pale and not quite as juicy as the rest, and I feel like it's kind of one of these things does not go with the other. I would have preferred like a lime green because I feel like it looks like it's dried out compared to the rest of the pens. The hot pink was a little bit scratchy when I was working with it and like separating, but for the most part these all, aside from the super flexible tip, the colors are really bright and like Sharpie colors. Some of the Sharpie art pens really disappointed me with how undersaturated the colors were. These are super saturated to the point of like worrying about using them in your planner. And for the most part, I would say they match their caps. The one kind of bitch I would have is that this coral is not different enough from the orange to really stand out for me. Like it needs like a rosier undertint to really distinguish itself from the orange, because like looking at it, they are different colors, but it's barely different colors. And with a 12 pen set, I think that there needs to be more differentiation and not so many colors close to each other. There's other Sharpie colors I've seen that are really pretty, like the lime green would be awesome in here, or really like electric blue would be awesome, but this coral just it's too similar to the orange. That's kind of irksome. Now we'll check them in the Erin Condren planner. Oh, it actually did pretty good. It didn't bleed through on the Erin Condren planner. So either I've worked out the juiciness, or maybe this paper that just does a little bit better with them. If the problem is that they're initially inky and then the ink dries out, then let's test that. Let's test this theory. Let me get some more paper. Let's grab some graph paper because that's what I've got handy. But I'm curious because since it bled in the Scribbles That Matter but not in the Erin Condren and I had just used it, I'm curious to see, like, do these dry out quickly? Because if that's a big enough difference, like soaking through, like it was hella soaking through on the one paper, soaking through a little on the Scribbles That Matter, not soaking through at all in the Erin Condren, that could be a problem if it's going to front load all of the ink right away. So let's see what's going to happen here. Well, holy shit. I'm going to test a different color. Let's go with the purple. You guys see this? You see how it starts off super inky, and then this is about as much as it would take to maybe write 2 words. By the bottom of it, it's like dried out. Let's do one more. Now I'm gonna look at the back, because you guys can see. I hope you can see that it's going from inky to like next to no ink. And look at that. You can see it as it goes down. Like it goes from bleeding through to like not bleeding through very much at all in the progression of it. And as you notice with the blue stayed sort of inky till it got to the bottom, but that these guys started drying out faster. I'm going to grab a Tombow marker that I've been using all month in my bullet journal, so it's been getting all sorts of use. And I'm going to try the same thing and see what happens. I even went further because I wasn't making quite as big of a mark because it didn't have enough space, so I figured I'd do more. And if you look at this, the Tombow looks exactly the same all the way down. Okay, I'm gonna just have to say overall, I don't think I can recommend these. Like, I was worried about recommending these for your planner because they might bleed through, but as you can see here, who knows what's gonna fucking happen. But to me, having it start to dry out this way towards the end of writing is unacceptable. Like it took 5 strokes for the pink to really start showing it. This is, no. I can't recommend these pens, you guys. Like, even if they're inexpensive, aside from the floppy nib, which is personal preference, the fact like this drying out as you use them, even if they come back, this was similar to a problem I had with the other Sharpie brush pens in that I felt like they dried out way too quickly. Maybe it's because they just front load so much right off the bat, but like this is, no, man, I can't recommend these. So if you want to get them, go for it. But as for me, like these are going to the donate to my kid pile. Sorry guys, and sorry Sharpie. I fucking love Sharpies, and this is a disappointment. I'm really feeling kind of bummed out about this. I guess the thing I'm going to ask you now though is to give me recommendations for other brush pens you'd like me to take a look at. Maybe something that won't bum me out this badly. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.